Hello, my name is Amy Blue, and I am your instructor. First of all, I'm recording two videos at the same time, kind of. I'm recording an introductory video for both the WGS201 as well as the WGS302 for fall 2013. WGS201, Introduction to Women and Gender Studies, and I think I have that CRN here. It's 15201, and then 302 CRN is 15202. Just in case you don't know if you're in the right place, my name's Amy Blue. This is an online class, and yeah, okay, so we are going to be using Facebook. Let me just start by saying a little bit about why we're doing that. In the past 4, 5, 6 years, I have been teaching for Eastern Kentucky University. I began teaching for EKU in 2008 when I was still a master's degree student in the Department of English, receiving my master's degree in literature, mostly American literature, and then I was also studying psychological trauma theory, mostly for sexual trauma. So I picked up a course, Introduction to Women and Gender Studies, in like 2008 or 2007 maybe, and taught on campus for 2 or 3 years before I was accepted for a PhD in literature at Michigan State University. So now I live in Lansing, Michigan, and that's about 400 miles north of where you guys are now, but I did receive my bachelor's degree and my master's degree from EKU, both in English, and have taught women and gender studies there for several years. So back to Facebook. This is why we use Facebook. I am not on campus. I don't get to come to campus. I am on campus here in Michigan State University, but it's a different beast than being on campus with you guys in, rural Appalachia. So the Ivy League of the South, they call Eastern Kentucky. So I like to get to know you a little bit better on Facebook. I've always been a student who needs to have a relationship with my instructor. I appreciate that some students don't need that, but I've always been that student who needs to form some kind of personal or eye-to-eye connection with my instructor. And I didn't do very well in online classes until I discovered this format, and now I find that the students who typically don't do well in online classes on Blackboard, because it's kind of feels distant, or it feels like off in its own little world, separated from reality, those students do really well here. They really enjoy the different kind of format. And those students who prefer to be in the Blackboard situation with not a lot of face-to-face time, I think you can still do really well in this class. I hope you still want to stay. I'll tell you, it's a lot more dynamic. It's a lot easier access. I've heard from students for the past several years that they accessed Facebook from their phone, and so let's pretend you get in a traffic jam and you're like, oh, what am I going to do? Well, super simple. Just go onto the Facebook wall and keep track of what's happening in our discussions, right? So let me explain a little bit about Facebook and how it's going to be used. The syllabus is going to be posted concurrently with this video introduction. I wanted to wait to get the video done and get all the Facebook stuff on and get all the Blackboard stuff set up. That way I can get everybody on the same page at the same time. I don't like to do a lot the first week on an online course, because I know that you guys are going in a zillion different directions trying to get set up for all your different courses. These instructors are asking you to do a million different things. So I like to get you in there like about week 2, starting in on our really hardcore intellectual content. But I do like to get you into the class with the syllabus in hand, with this video in hand, before the last day to drop without a W, which is August 25th. So we're coming upon that. So you've got a few more days to kind of move things around a little bit if you need to. But I really hope you'll stay. We have a great time in here. I do demand a lot from you because this is an online course. We do work for the duration, but because I do demand a lot from you, I give you 2 full weeks off. So the whole week of Thanksgiving break, we do nothing, and the whole week of fall break, we do nothing. So we pack a lot in, but not the first week, and then also not those 2 weeks. Because having been a student and still currently a student, I'm on hiatus from working on my dissertation, but I just came out of school, so I know what you guys are going through, and I have sympathy for that, but I want to jam all of our work in. I just want to get it done during the times when you're physically and mentally present. So let's just ditch Thanksgiving, let's ditch fall break, let's get out of week 1, and then you also don't do readings for the final week. For your finals exam week, you just have that time to finish up your final synthesis. So, Facebook, right? I'll be using a lot of video interface. You're going to be seeing me in this context, me just kind of talking at you and pointing and making hand gestures like this to draw out shapes and define ideas, but you'll also see me stationed in front of a whiteboard while I'll be pointing to things and making lists. I'll provide you with all kinds of different notes for your learning. So in our files tab on Facebook, if I know I'm going to be giving this kind of strange lecture that kind of moves in different ways, I'll give you an outline of what it is that I talk about so that you'll have some kind of guide and for your notes. I do try to teach two different learning styles. I'm a teacher of adult learners, so I try to work with all the different learning styles. So I like to talk to you, I like to give you diagrams, I like to give you pictures. Sometimes I'll give you examples of what I'm talking about. Like, for example, I have a text posted onto Blackboard and soon on Facebook where I have shown you how I take notes inside of my readings. So like, you have my handwritten notes to look at to maybe help you as you read the article. Why would she have stopped here and put this note here? If you're just developing those skills, that's a hard thing to master, and everybody's got their own way of doing it. So I'll offer you my way of doing these things, what's been successful for me in terms of my bachelor's, master's, and then PhD work. But I'll leave it to your good intuition to hone those skills for yourself and to pursue your note-taking skills, to pursue an active interest in those note-taking skills, as that sets you up for success no matter what college class you're taking. So I'll help you build those skills here, but I'm also going to rely on you to build those skills for yourself, right? Facebook, I keep getting lost. Here we go, Facebook. So the syllabus tells you this, and Facebook is going to be divided mostly into, let's pretend like 3 spaces. Let's pretend like it's 3 rooms, all right? So you have a kind of a classroom space, and that's the place where you enter in, the primary wall of our page. You click on to WGS201 Fall 2013 or WGS302 Fall 2013, and the first place you arrive is that big space in the middle that has me posting, all right folks, I'll be posting introductory lectures and all that stuff. That's the introductory space. That is, if you'll imagine, that's when we walk into the classroom and I start saying, okay, turn your textbooks to page 302 and let's discuss this blah 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 blah. That's where you landed when you get onto the first page here. So when we get to that first page, you are thinking, how would I talk about things inside the classroom? So yeah, personal stories a little bit, but mostly observations about the text. As I explained in the syllabus, I would really like to keep that space text-oriented as best as we possibly can. Now, I know that this stuff is so personal a lot of the times, and that you experience it in your own daily lives, so you want to bring your personal experiences in. Fine, please do that. That's how we're going to get to know each other. That's how we're going to build community, communitas. That's how we're going to build camaraderie. And so I welcome that. At the same time, I would say that you need to gear those personal observations toward an analysis of your text and an observation about the content of our material, rather than just kind of dropping that in as a comment. So I've said in the syllabus, each time you comment on that wall under one of my questions or prompts or video lectures or something like that, you're wanting to submit something useful to the conversation. So not just a personal observation, but a personal observation that ties directly right back in with your text, right? Or not just some random website that you found that was kind of cool, but how that theoretically engages the text we're reading from the Kindle reader, right? So I'll try to help you and prompt you to thinking about these things. I don't like to give you a lot of examples of what I mean. I would rather you start to offer me examples of what you think I'm asking for, some critical analysis. How would you just intuitively engage your textbook? What questions would you ask? What observations would you bring to the fore? How would you steal a piece of text from the textbook and talk about it with us in class? Those are the kinds of things I'm asking for on that main wall. Classroom discussion, that's kind of what we're going for. How can we better understand what we've read? How can we bring our own personal observations into what we've read? How can we bring our other classwork, our previous research into what we've read? That all gets hatched out on the main page. All right, so second space or room or page is the files page. We'll go there next, and then the last page is the event. So if you'll click on files on your main page here, you'll see, hopefully, that there's a bunch of stuff there. The syllabus is going to be there. I haven't done it just yet, so I'm working in stages here. All of the files that we're going to be asked to read outside of your textbook, all of those will be stored there, hopefully in the order that you're going to be reading them. So this will be our kind of file collection space. I will add new spaces or new docs onto there. Docs are just short for documents. If we wanted to do some sort of collaborative effort, or if I wanted to publish some sort of assignment description, or if we work collaboratively to produce an assignment description, I can post that there. So it's just our file storage space. Click on over onto events, and this is really the second real room of our time together, our group together, right? This event space is where you're going to work on your scholarly side. You're going to build a scholarly persona. So let's pretend that we wear our t-shirts and our jeans into the main wall space. That's our discussion board. That's our main classroom space. But then let's pretend that once a week, or once every other week, but for us it's once a week, we put on like our nicer clothes, and we bring out our scholarly glasses, and then we open our textbooks, and we start to say, well, here, Kimmel has argued blah, 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 blah. And we really start to hone a scholarly persona so that we can learn what it means to be those two different people. That person who comes to the classroom is kind of like, I don't know what he's saying when he says on 315, I don't understand, help me. And then this more refined scholar who comes into the room and says, I have read this quote on page 315 11 times, and I've researched it on the internet, and I can tell you that it means this. So those are the two kind of spaces we're really working with. That space of developing ideas with discussion boards with other students, that's our main space, and then this other space where you are practicing the art of synthesis, of pulling things together, of asking questions, pursuing your own answers, and then presenting those answers to us as though you were the expert on the matter. And so all of those spaces, both of our main rooms, if you will, the classroom and then this kind of conference scholar space, I will be giving you feedback on both of those rooms to help you both gauge what tone to use in them and how to present yourself, but also to help you hone how to argue and how to create an argument. The argument being, I know what this means, and I can kind of help you to understand or to make meaning of it yourself. So we don't want to hone in on the meaning. We don't want to hoard, that meaning off for ourselves. We don't want to say, I definitely know what this means and it can only mean this. But we do want to say, after I've researched this internet article, and then I brought in this other article, and then I've thought about this, and I asked my instructor, after all of that work, I really want to believe that it has this in it. I want to believe that there's something in there that speaks to this issue. So you see, you never come directly at it and say, I know what this means, because that's foolish. You would never say you know for sure in the humanities. You would say, this suggests, or there's an inkling toward, or something like that. I'll help you hone all this language, but just to kind of get you started on it, we are just going to pretend like none of us know anything. I am right there with you. I don't know Jack either, okay? I really do, but for the purposes of our group, let's pretend I don't. I'm going to be going through this material with you too, so throw out what's there. Throw out what you already know. Throw out what questions that you have, and then let us as a group come together and answer it, right? So my job as facilitator, as guide here, is not to give you material. That is not what I'm doing. I have given you the book, or your other textbook. I have given you these books. I will, over the course of the semester, be giving you lots more sources. We'll be reading from Michael Warner's book, The Trouble with Normal. We'll be reading from Anne Fausto Sterling's Sexing the Body, depending on what class you're in. We'll be reading all kinds of different scholars who have all kinds of different perspectives. Your task is going to be bringing those disparate perspectives together, and without hoarding your own knowledge or your own connection to some real truth, you are just to explore with us what it might mean to take women and gender studies seriously. What does it mean to be a scholar in this field? What do we look for? How do we research? How do we present ourselves as scholars in this field? How do we reference other scholars and other experts in the field? So we're trying to build some kind of rapport with one another, with the texts, and then with the conversation that's already been developed, to put our voice in the proper way, right? I'm here to help guide you through that process. I see our task as a critical thinking task. We're going to ingest a lot of material, and then we're going to critically struggle with it until it makes some sense to us. And then we're going to try to help each other make sense of it too. So, in 15 minutes or fewer, that's our introduction to the course. I'll be publishing more videos, talking more about what the particulars are, but there's the big overview. You've got enough material to kind of start thinking about what's coming next, and I'll talk to you soon.